That sounds good. Thanks, Kelsey. You guys can hear me okay? Not on mute. So hi, I'm Claire Smith. I am a board member with the Cook County Community Fund, and I'm here today to basically help facilitate this event. We are so excited to bring it to you, partnering with Cook County Higher Education. Thanks so much to Kelsey for facilitating this for us, and also all of the grantors that are here today. We really appreciate everyone taking the time to come and speak on behalf of your organization. And a little background on the Cook County Community Fund. We were created in 2003 to empower nonprofits through philanthropy, education, and collaboration. And we help attract funds to grant out to these nonprofits to help them pay for projects in areas such as the arts, community development, the environment, a lot of different projects that our nonprofits offer us. Basically, this year we are asking for applications to be in by March, and then all of our recommendations are sent off to the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation, and our affiliate is Michelle Morris. She's here with us today to speak on behalf of that affiliate of our organization, and at that point, all of those decisions are made in June of 2022. So with that, I might just go ahead and turn it over to you, Michelle, for you to speak about the DSACF. With her role, she'll speak about it, but there's 6 other grantors as well today. So we're also going to hear from everybody. After Michelle speaks, we're going to go right into the IRRB with Danae. And then from there, I'll just let everyone know when it's time for them to speak. So Michelle, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, go ahead and give us just a rundown of the DSACF, and then we'll move on to Danae with IRRB.
Thanks, Claire, and thanks so much to Cook County Higher Ed and the Cook County Community Fund for organizing today. It's a pleasure to get to join you all. So I'm Michelle Morris. I am the Community Impact Director with the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation. So like Claire mentioned, Cook County Community Fund is one of our affiliate funds. We have over 450 funds that are held by the Community Foundation. About 60 of those are competitive grants. We have 4 grant rounds throughout the year where we accept applications to those 60-some competitive funds. I also want to highlight we have about 70 scholarship funds, and the deadline for that most of our scholarships is January 15th. So just to keep an eye on that, and if you have questions about scholarships, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to help with that. On the grant side, I also want to share that we have a new grant portal rolling out. So that's we're working to have that launched by early January. So we will be accepting applications into our February grant round. Something to note with that, we're not doing the letter of intent process that we've done in the past. So it'll look a little differently than what you've seen for those of you who've applied before. Some of the things to think about with those 60 different competitive funds, they can, like Claire mentioned, serve arts, environment, community and economic development, human services, education. It's really quite broad in terms of all the different aspects of quality of life in our communities. So I think if there's something you're thinking about and you're not sure which fund could align with that work, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to have those conversations and help find that alignment. Because there are quite a few different aspects for all of the different areas of this work. I want to make sure I'm not taking up too much time, but looking forward to connecting with all of you in the breakout sessions and certainly in follow-ups afterwards.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Danae, if you wouldn't mind, looks like you already did, you unmuted. Go ahead and tell us about IRRB, and then after Danae, we'll go ahead and hear from Carol with the Northland Foundation.
Sounds great. Thanks, Claire. I'm actually going to share us the screen. So I'm going to have a PowerPoint. And what I'm going to do is explain a little bit about our agency. And then there are a few programs that are actually available for nonprofits to apply for. So I'm just going to highlight those at a high level, and then we can go from there. If you have any questions, please let me know. Let's see, Kelsey, it's showing my next slide again. Uh-oh, what did we do?
I think you're good. I can see things fine. So if you just go to the next slide, you should be fine.
Okay. All right. Thanks again for having us. My name is Danae Badette. I am a community development representative at Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation. A little bit about our agency. Iron Range Resources is a state of Minnesota economic development agency located in northeastern Minnesota. We're a governor's cabinet level agency. The agency is 80 years old and was established in 1941 by Governor Harold Stassen and the legislature. The mission is to invest resources to foster vibrant growth and economic prosperity in northeastern Minnesota, enhance livable communities, maximize collaborations and partnerships, and strengthen businesses and worker education. The regional taconite production tax, actually, the agency's funding comes from the taconite production tax paid by the Minnesota's mining industry in lieu of property taxes. And this is kind of just the breakdown of where the money goes and how much there is. So 2021 distribution is a little over $109 million. And it's broken down into money for the townships, school districts, counties, property tax relief. Iron Range Resources actually gets just a little bit less than $30 million for our programs. There's some pass-through money that goes, and then mining reinvestment. Our service area actually is 13,000 square miles. You can see the shape of it in the darker area on the Minnesota state map. It includes 53 cities, 134 townships, 14 school districts, and 4 tribal nations, and it's about the size of West Virginia, just to kind of give you an idea. Goal number 1, businesses invest in northeastern Minnesota. And we've got business development programs, and some of those are maybe take place business loans. We have bank participation loans, direct loans, loan guarantees, equity capital. And then our grant programs include commercial redevelopment, development infrastructure, business energy retrofit, and downtown building rehabilitation. Some of those business development projects that actually took place in the Cook County area I wanted to highlight. So the business energy retrofit program, which we call our BER program, is actually administered by AEOA, the Arrowhead Economic Opportunity Agency. So they administer that for us. We help them with grant money and they take care of it. It assists business owners with energy efficient improvements and code compliance upgrades to their buildings. So for example, the Lutsen-based Sawtooth Maple Syrup Company used it for equipment modernization, including a new evaporator, lighting, and reverse osmosis room heating system. The Grand Marais Arrowhead building utilized grants to help pay for renovations to leaking windows, siding, insulation, and a leaking roof. The Development Infrastructure Grant assists communities with projects that support economic development. And we helped with the Cook County YMCA childcare facility, helping them put in some restrooms with child size accommodations and an outdoor play area, both of those being ADA compliant. We also helped with workforce housing, 2 workforce housing developments, one in Lutsen and one in Grand Marais. And a side note too, I just wanted to mention that we've helped a lot with renovations and enhancements to the Cook County Airport. Goal number 2, communities invest in their foundational and social assets to ensure the quality of life. Some of our community development programs are broadband programs, commercial redevelopment, community infrastructure, culture and tourism, development infrastructure, downtown streetscapes, regional trails, and residential redevelopment. Now you will find all of this information too with explanations on our website, so that's a good place to start. I'm going to highlight culture and tourism because this is available for nonprofits to apply for. nonprofits and communities for supporting strong arts, culture, history, and recreational activities. These grants help enhance the quality of life in the region and attract visitors. For per year, right now it's funded at $375,000. The grants range from $2,500 up to $30,000. It does require a 1-to-1 match. And we do have 2 grant cycles, one in September and one in March. And of course, we're looking for new and innovative projects. They typically score higher. And just some examples of projects, just to give you an idea, so you maybe can be thinking of your community. We've done baseball fields, purchasing playground equipment at the Dorothy Moulter Museum. We helped install new flooring in the Interpretive Center, trail mapping project up in White Lakes, marketing campaigns, bridge replacement for snowmobile trails and ATV clubs. Cook County Culture and Tourism projects happen to be North House Folk School, and I think I saw Libby log on earlier. Oops, I'm sorry, something's happening here. Oops. I don't know what's going on. Sorry. Okay. North House Folk School, we had the Harbor Home, which enhanced public access and shaped the community space. There were benches and trees and things like that that were added. The North Superior Ski and Run Club, purchasing of several, pieces of equipment for trail maintenance and grooming, and for tools for the multi-use at the Pincushion Mountain. John Bear Grease had a marketing campaign and social media printing of promotional pieces and cultural exhibits we helped with. The application fund is also available for nonprofits to apply for. And the application fund grants reimbursements for the cost of preparing and applying for a non-agency grant. This is funded at $30,000 per year. Awards up to $3,000, requires a 1-to-1 match. A couple example projects from the Cook County area were the Grand Marais Art Colony and Cook County Community Radio used the application fund grant to help offset the cost of emergency grant writing efforts due to the loss of revenue and fundraising during the COVID-19 pandemic. The city of Silver Bay used the application fund to hire a professional grant writer who successfully secured money for the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources State Park Road Grant for improvements to the East Lakeview Drive. So if you're applying for any various grants, state, federal, philanthropic grants, you can actually get money from the application fund to help you find a grant writer, because a lot of the smaller nonprofits maybe don't have the capability to do that. Downtown Streetscapes is available for nonprofits. The grants are designed to help incentivize investment in downtown areas by promoting safe and attractive environments for residents, shoppers, workers, and visitors. This is funded at $200,000, awards up to $50,000, requires a 1-to-1 match, but half of that match can be in kind. They're looking for highly visible and community supported projects. A couple examples were the Welcome to Lutzen sign, and then Grand Marais had decorative lighting and community connection art project. Goal number 3, workers have the education and training to meet business needs. We do have workforce development grant programs, industry-based higher education programs that address regional workforce needs and gaps. We do some customized workforce training within some of these grants, and then regional school district initiatives that increase availability and access to quality education for our K-12 students. We did have a couple COVID-19 relief programs that had happened. The Entrepreneur Fund administered this loan program that we had, and it was a $5 million loan program. And to date, 89 loans were approved, totaling over $3 million, and it helped retain 844 jobs. We had a Taconite Area Community Relief Program, and $250,000 went up to the Cook County North Shore Grand Marais area for 15 businesses and 2 nonprofits. 17 grantees received 0 interest, 50% loans, and it assisted approximately 135 jobs. Excuse me. This is just a copy of what our website looks like. And it's great because you can look for business resources, grant resources. We have a media center there that kind of highlights all the articles that we write about. And then it also gives you connections for each of our staff people and what programs they might be able to help you with. Well, that's all I have today, and thank you very much. If you have questions, please let me know. And if it's not one of the programs that I administer, I can certainly put you in touch with some of the other grant administrators in our agency.
Thanks so much, Janae. I can say from experience with speaking with a lot of the business owners up here as well, that those aid grants that came through for COVID really made a big difference up here. Now we're going to hear from Carol with the Northland Foundation. And I also think you win for Christmas decorations, Carol. They look fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my space is kind of in our living room area. So hi, my name is Carol Chipman, and I'm the grants manager at the Northland Foundation. A little background is that, we are one of 6 Minnesota Initiative Foundations that were created in 1986 by the McKnight Foundation. We are a publicly supported foundation, and we serve 7 counties in northeastern Minnesota. So we serve Aiken, Carlton, Cook, Itasca, Couchiching, Lake, and St. Louis. And we also serve all or part of 5 Native nations that are in our geographic area. So that's Bois Forte, Fond du Lac, Grand Portage, Leech Lake, and Mille Lacs. The Northland Foundation has 4 main program areas, one of which is grant making, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we have the Kids Plus program. It's an umbrella of special initiatives that are around improving the well-being of children and youth through their adulthood. We have business services, so we offer flexible lending to help small and medium-sized businesses either to start up or to grow. And then we have convening, training, and special initiatives. And so we partner with funding partners and technical assistance partners to provide learning opportunities to the communities we serve. Our grant making program, we provide financial and technical assistance to 501c3 tax exempt nonprofits and schools and other public entities that are in our region. We have 4 grant deadlines per year. It follows our fiscal year, which is July 1, October 1, January 1, and April 1. So we do have an opportunity for January that's coming up. We have extended that due to holiday. So we're giving a few extra days to January 5th. So if you have any questions or anything, please let me know. I'm happy to help out. You would apply for grants through our grantee portal. We offer 2 types of grants in our general grant making, and that is a small grant, and that's for grants up to $5,000. And decisions are made on those the month that you apply. So if you apply in January, you'll get your decision by the end of January. And then we have large grants, and those are over $5,000 up to $50,000. And that's a 3-step process, and it takes about 90 days to get your decision. So you would submit a letter of inquiry. It's a abbreviated application. And so within that 30 days of first submitting, you would get notification whether you've been invited to submit a full application. And you would have about 3 weeks to submit that. And then we'd have a site visit, and then decisions made by the end of the 90 days. So if you submitted in January, you'd hear by the end of March. And we are flexible, though. We know that we do out of cycle grants on occasion based on need. To apply for a grant, we have 2 main priority areas. The first one is children, youth, and families, and we focus on programming that like out of school or in school time programming, early childhood and education, youth leadership, and civic involvement. Those are just a few. And again, you can find that on our website more in depth. Our second individual and community well-being. And so we support programming that promotes the well-being and dignity of all people, such as job training, asset building, home ownership, neighborhood revitalization, domestic violence, homeless issues, enhancing the lives of people with disabilities. Those are just a few of the types of grants that we would look at for programming. One thing to make note of, we are right in the middle of redesigning our grant program. And so the intention is to streamline our application process, to make it easier access and reduce the burden for those who are applying and maintaining the grants. And we're going to create some other opportunities for larger multi-year grants. And we're looking at how we award, maybe, being a little bit more focused. We've noticed in the past 6 years, we get the number of grants that we get is so large compared to the limited funding that we have. And so we're looking at, how do we make our decisions? There's more to come, so stay tuned. There is a plan to engage our grantees in this process prior to the rollout, and that's expected in July of 2022. We do also offer the Kids Plus Youth and Philanthropy program, and that is under the Kids Plus umbrella. And what that is it's a board made up of youth from across our region, as well as adult mentors, who meet 3 times per year in October, January, and April. And they review applications up to $1,000 that are prepared for and planned by the youth with an adult mentor or advisor. It's a really neat program that we have that we are able to offer youth for some leadership, learn about philanthropy, learn about what's happening in their region, and become leaders in their region. Our newest exciting program that we have started is called the Matauki program. This program is an Indigenous-led investment, and it's designed to support community members to strengthen culture and community within their community without having to apply for a grant through a nonprofit or a tribal nation. And so this is the first time we've ever awarded grants to individuals. So it's very new to us. And we have a board, Matauki board, that is led by 9 representatives from the region's tribal nations and Indigenous communities, leaders, and they provide oversight for this grassroots campaign. It's been very exciting, and we've learned so much, and we know that as we move forward, we're probably going to make some changes, and we're looking to also kind of bring that into our other program areas, like our business services for loans for the BIPOC community. And so far we have had 2 grant rounds, and we have awarded 31 grants totaling a little over $77,000. We're very excited about that. We have, of course, done media releases and social media, and out of that has come some donations specifically for our Matauki program, which allows us to even award more grants. It's been very exciting for us, and we are looking forward to continuing that. Those grants are offered 3 times a year as well. Right now it was May, September, and now we're looking for February 15th is the next deadline for that. That is also done on our, you would apply, through our grant portal. It's a kind of a different, it's separate from our other grants. But all of this information about how to apply, what we support, what we don't support, is located on our website. And then I'm happy to answer any questions. Also, I will provide Eric Torch, who's our Director of Grant Making. We encourage you, before you were to apply for a grant and take the time and energy, we would ask that you give us a call so we could walk through it with you to make sure that it falls within our guidelines, and help you to submit an application that is most likely going to be able to be supported. But that's it for me, and I welcome any questions later.
Thanks so much, Carol. Next, we're going to hear from Valerie with the North Shore Healthcare Foundation. Val, after you, we're going to hear from Allison with the Cook County PHHS. Go ahead, Val.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'm just gonna pull my screen up here. As Claire and Kelsey mentioned, I am Valerie Eliason, or Morosco Eliason, excuse me. Sometimes I forget my own name. And I'm the Executive Director of the North Shore Healthcare Foundation. I came on board with the foundation in June of 2019, and I was brought in as the foundation's very first full-time executive director. The board, and along with many of its volunteers and with a lot of community input, had undergone a pretty intense strategic planning process to help take the foundation to the next level. What we found, through that community input process is that a lot of folks didn't really know exactly what the Healthcare Foundation is, what our roles are. And then there was also a lot of input and support to do bigger impact projects in Cook County. So we actually play a number of roles within the county, but first I want to talk about where we came from before we get to where we are now. The North Shore Healthcare Foundation was established in 1993, so we're now in our 28th year, and it was it kind of started out as the Clinic Development Committee, and it was a group of dedicated citizens who took on a leadership role in supporting projects that would have a significant impact in health in rural Cook County, and that would ultimately lead to more services being available for our citizens. And it grew, and it's continued to grow. But that commitment to provide leadership in sustaining healthcare services for Cook County and then increasing opportunities and service in the county is still there, and that remains one of our core values. So present day, in the last couple years, our mission was revised, and that is to proactively identify opportunities to expand equitable healthcare and healthy living in Cook County and champion solutions through funding, education, and advocacy. That kind of speaks to our various roles, but ultimately our vision is a healthy community for all in Cook County. So all of these roles kind of come together to play a role in that. So our primary contributions for creating a healthy community lie in our ability to provide funding as a grant maker, which is what we're talking about today, to leverage funding, also provide educational opportunities, and then convening community partners to address critical issues that are facing the community. And then we also advocate for all of our health agencies and for the needs that arise through things like the Community Health Needs Survey. We align our priorities with the county's Community Health Needs Survey. We're going to get into that in just a minute here. But the foundation really believes in the possibility of people, organizations, businesses, and governments all working together, and that's necessary to create this picture of a healthy community in Cook County. Our values are at the forefront of all we do. Those help us evaluate our grant applications. They're alive and present even at each one of our board meetings. We start every meeting off with a values moment. And it's really a guideline for all of our decision making. So that's going to be important when we talk about, what we're looking for in grant applications and who we award to. Just to expand on our vision, a healthy community for all in Cook County, what does that look like? Well, it's not just the absence of illness in the community. It's healthcare services and availability and access to those services, community systems, and then individual health as well. So this has really shaped how our organization has changed over the last couple of years and the grants that we give out. In our mission, it mentions expanding equitable healthcare and healthy living. This this is a graphic that we like to come back to. There's equality and then there's equity. So the foundation is really looking at providing equitable access. There are many challenges to health living in a rural area. One of those being access to out-of-town medical care for anything that's, beyond general medicine, if you need to see a specialist, if you need surgery. And that's not attainable for a lot of people. And also when we see people at different stages of their life, potentially, having children and needing to access birthing services, or when we see people getting older, if they don't have family around, or depending on, your financial position, accessing services outside of Cook County can be a real challenge. So that plays into our priorities. Our focus of work has switched to more of a prevention focus versus when the foundation was first developed, and in our early years as a grant maker, we had been funding in a reactionary way. For a certain project that was a reaction to a specific need, or periodically throughout the year when, say, one fire department or EMS unit needed a certain thing. We're now looking at shifting our focus over the last couple of years, have really shifted our focus to prevention, innovation, and being proactive. So we're not continually in a reactionary position, and to change that overall picture of health and the determinants of investing in the determinants of health for our people. And I mentioned our priorities. Those three key priorities did arise out of the most recent community health needs survey. And those are senior services and aging well, being able to keep our older adults in their homes longer, and ensuring that there are services to support them locally. Children's mental health and addressing substance misuse. We're going to see a lot of work around this, I think, in 2022. We've got some planning sessions coming up. And we know, through the impacts of the pandemic, that there's greater need now more than ever for children's mental health. And then I mentioned resources for travel and lodging for out-of-town medical care. In 2021, we were fortunate to start a joint study with the help of Public Health and Human Services on the need for travel and lodging for out-of-town care. A survey was done, and a lot of work from the help of a graduate researcher intern. So we're going to be finishing that study, which is going to help us really determine what the issues are before we can develop any solutions. So really wanting to have that evidence available, having the data in hand. A lot of times we hear, well, we should have this or we should have that, and it's really based on individual need and perception. So we really want to continue to complete that study so that we do have evidence-based data available to create appropriate solutions that are going to serve the community for the long haul. So our roles, we do continue to have the commitment to provide leadership in sustaining and improving the health of individuals and communities within Cook County, still as one of our core values. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but all of our grants are for organizations within Cook County. There are a couple programs that have a little bit of overlap where children are participating from Lake County, but they are predominantly awarded all within Cook County. We're an educator through funding and hosting events. We also provide funding each year through our block grants to Cook County Higher Education for healthcare education courses, as well as various initiatives, training and certification for emergency services. We're also a partner. A couple examples of partnerships currently are our role in the Aging Well Resources Cook County. I had to think about that, the Aging Coalition, and a new service that's going to be launching in 2022. We're a partner in the Oral Health Task Force, which was also an incubator program of the foundation. Many of you are familiar with Care Partners of Cook County. That's another example of a incubation success story that grew out of the foundation. It started with an idea, and that's one of the key roles that the foundation can play in the community, aside from as a funder, is incubating projects that are filling a gap in services. Currently, we have the Restorative Justice Program under our internal umbrella. There is a connection to children's mental health and substance misuse, and breaking that cycle and providing healthy conflict resolution and community harm reparation. So that's an exciting initiative that's currently being incubated. And then providing and leveraging financial resources, which we're going to talk more about. We're also an advocate. So when there is a need within our health services or emergency services, a need for programs within Cook County, the foundation plays a role in advocating for those. One example this year was leading the heartfelt thanks for essential health workers healthcare recognition campaign earlier in 2021 for all of our essential health workers. So our role as a grant maker, it's divided up into two programs. I mentioned Cook County Higher Education receiving a block grant. They are one of three, which we call our big three, that receive an annual award based on application, and obviously depending on available budget. It's not a given. They do have to apply for those and let us know what their plans are and how that plans for the coming year match up with our mission and priorities. So that's Care Partners of Cook County. They continue to receive support from the foundation as their original home through annual funding. Emergency services, and this is coordinated through emergency management. I mentioned in the past where we had been reactionary to maybe this department needs a small grant for a certain initiative or piece of equipment, and this one might need the same thing, but there really wasn't any collaboration. So with our new grant program just a few years ago in our strategic plan, it called for greater collaboration, and now the various branches of emergency services work together to determine what the greatest need is in the county. And the block grant funding gets applied to that so that we are making the best use of those funds and having the greatest impact. So it's not just serving one individual department because they may be good at writing a grant and another is not. It's a great way to encourage interagency collaboration, and it's led to being able to produce being able to address bigger issues. For example, at the end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019, the foundation was able to fund the development of the high angle ropes rescue team. We have some of the most treacherous terrain up here in Cook County and often have a lot of emergency service calls regarding, people going over cliffs or in water, even potentially out at the mountains, skiing. There are a number of calls for service, and we did not have any certified ropes technicians, which is a gap, and the last thing somebody wants when going on vacation is either, getting seriously injured or not coming home at all, or going out for a family day of family activity with your family if you live locally here, and you know, not coming home or being severely injured because we don't have the services to address that. So the foundation was able to provide the funding to train 16 rope techs, as well as provide all the equipment and develop a plan where that is stationed throughout the county so that we have that response capability. And that's an example of how the foundation has applied its value of being nimble. So when urgent needs arise, you know, we talk a lot about being more proactive, but when we're still able to be nimble when urgent community needs arise. An example of that would be the COVID-19 Medical Response Fund. We were able to redirect two of our block grants that year to develop the fund and leverage that funding with community matching of community donations so that all of our responders would have the funds they need to respond to COVID locally. And so that benefits all of our healthcare agencies as well as emergency services to get what they need, and they're not then tied up waiting for additional fund availability. And we saw that work really well with how quickly we were able to get our mass vaccination sites going. And then we also have semi-annual grant awards. So we do accept requests. We issue a request for proposals twice per year. The deadline is May 1 and October 1. Those are typically awarded then in June, and then following the October grant round in November or December, depending on how much information is needed, and working those applications out through our committee system. Priorities are given to the projects which do address our identified priorities. So again, support for elders, children's mental health, and then travel and lodging for out-of-town care. This is overseen by a funds distribution committee. The projects are evaluated and work with applicants to see if more information is needed, or potentially if they say, for instance, need a fiscal sponsor. Because in order to be eligible for North Shore Healthcare Foundation grants, you must be a qualified nonprofit organization, or if you're not, then have a fiscal sponsorship from a nonprofit. We do not make grants to individuals. Our work is really focusing around supporting our health services and working with community organizations to help deliver healthy living programs, and then increasing that access to equitable health in Cook County. So some of the organizations that we do support through ongoing projects are the Sawtooth Mountain Clinic, North Shore Health, Care Partners, as I mentioned, and CCHE. All of our local volunteer fire departments and EMS units, search and rescue is also included in there. Certain programs within law enforcement, like emergency services chaplaincy, for emotional and mental well-being of our responders. And that's open. That program serves any first responder as well as their family members. And we have trained emergency chaplains. All of our local schools, or the Oral Health Task Force, which is, started out serving children, but is now expanding to be able to help seniors 65 and older. I should say older adults, because 65 doesn't even seem like a senior anymore. That program's expanding to older adults. So regardless of ability to pay for dental care, it's a very generous program that subsidizes access to dental health. And then the Cook County Restorative Justice Program, which I mentioned is our new incubator project. So, you'll have access to this presentation, but this is a breakdown of the grants that we've given just in the last 18 months. There will be 4 other awards coming up following our December board meeting, hopefully next week, that are from our October grant round. So even without those 4 projects, in the last 18 months, we've been able to give out over $92,000. And you can see what a variety of programs that the foundation supports. So everything from funding the development of the new Growing Families program for childbearing and early parenting throughout during the pandemic and beyond, to food security programs, like some of the programs with the snacks and packs for kids, the great lunch program at GES, to learning opportunities through stories, the LOTS program at 6 different psychs along the North Shore for mental and emotional health in the very early years, and then creating healthy bonds, to training programs for staff and responders in public health and human services, in our emergency services, anti-bias training in schools, all the way through to helping Hovland Fire Department buy their new fire pumper, new to them fire pumper, I should say, by just, leveraging a $5,000 grant to attract community donations to be able to do that. The foundation invests in a really versatile lineup of programs to make sure that we are being responsive to community needs, to ensure that we're investing in prevention programs. Another good move that it was kind of a serendipitous forced move that we made. We used to be located in the Sawtooth Mountain Clinic in the lower level of the clinic, but when the clinic needed to rearrange its space to accommodate the pharmacy, which was also addressing a community need, the foundation needed to move out because they reclaimed some of their tenant space. So that gave us an opportunity to search for space, and we landed with a smaller office, but it had more meaning to have our offices within the YMCA because it's closer, greater access to some of our program participants, that our rent money now also subsidizes prevention programs like the diabetes prevention program, and youth scholarships for youth that otherwise may not be able to afford membership. So we're looking for things even in where we have our offices that are coming full circle and investing in health within Cook County. So again, what we're looking for, here's the diagram of individual and community health systems being at the top. And previously, we were funding medical care and tertiary prevention that was really reactive. And then some of the safety net programs up here in the middle. And now we're really trying to focus on helping people up here before they're going over the cliff. So we have kind of a diverse program that is funding efforts at each one of these levels, and that really contributes to overall community health. We're looking for, through our own work, and then what we're looking for in grant applications, does it line up with the definition of health? Is your organization in one of these areas? Does it potentially influence change? Community-centered and collaborative relationships? Does it get to the deeper issues within some of the health challenges in Cook County? Really trying to be proactive, prevention-based, and then also intervention. Looking for integrative programming, something that can be sustained within an organization that exists to support, that's sustainable and can support it. And then outcome-based. What outcomes will it have in the community? And then how we evaluate, it's based largely on budget available. Typically, the foundation has between $50,000 and $70,000 a year to give out. Typical average is around $50,000 30 of that goes to the block grant programs for education, for the support of senior services through Cook County, and then the third $10,000 maximum to emergency services as a collective. And that also funds within that $10,000, that funds the emergency services training conference when we are not in COVID times. So that leaves about $20,000, 20 to 30, depending on the total budget available for community organizations. So that $20,000 is divided between the two grant cycles. And then we also look at, priority is given to the projects that address our key issues. These key issues will be evaluated in conjunction, reevaluated in conjunction with the Community Health Needs Survey, which is every 5 years. Next year is going to be one of the year that Cook County Public Health, correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, I think you're still here, we'll start planning for that next health needs survey. So it makes sense for us to line up our priorities with the needs identified in the community survey, so that we can work together and look for areas of collaboration. And then we also look at how does it match up against our values. So how to apply, again, our deadlines are May 1 and then October 1. Our applications are on our website. It's a single application process. It does not, we don't have an LOI first and then an application. And then, we're always available if you have any questions, because there's some groups that are just starting out looking for grants. They may have never had a relationship with us before. We want to make sure that we are there to support people in their application development. So there's my contact info. And then I want to mention that our board of directors is currently looking for community champions to join our board. We have some outgoing retiring members whose terms have come to their maximum term limit. So we are looking for folks who want to have a voice in shaping health locally. So keep that in mind, because I know there's several talented, wonderful people on this call today. So any questions about the programs at the North Shore Healthcare Foundation?
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Valerie. Stick around, and definitely if any questions come up for Valerie, we'll definitely address those right after Allison. And then Joan, are you speaking on behalf of Lloyd K. Johnson, or was it Bryce?
Thanks. I'll be speaking on behalf, but I would like Bryce to introduce herself, so she'll pop in too.
Okay, fantastic. We'll have Allison with Cook County PHHS go, and then you guys go ahead and go right after her.
Sounds great. Hi,
right,
everyone. Are you able to hear me? All right, just a heads up, I do have my 18-month-old assistant with me today. So once she hears me talking, she might want to pop in and say hi. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and presentation as well. So my name is Allison. I'm the Public Health and Human Services Director with Cook County Public Health and Human Services. How's the presentation coming through? Okay, okay. So just a bit about our agency. Our mission as Cook County Public Health and Human Services is supporting the safety and well-being of our community. Our team includes 30 staff who administer and connect residents with supportive services, including economic assistance and healthcare programs, social services, case management and care coordination, community health promotion and improvement, and public health emergency preparedness and response. A bit of history on the Public Health Fund. Under state statute, counties have authorization to contract with nonprofit agencies that serve a public health purpose. For many years, our County Board of Commissioners granted what were then considered discretionary or non-mandated funds each year out to community agencies that fall within two buckets, essentially arts and culture, and then public health service areas. In 2018, the commissioners delegated authority for reviewing proposals for those funds and applications and making recommendations for funding to our Public Health and Human Services Department via our Public Health and Human Services Advisory Council, which is one of our two citizen advisory councils that we work with as a department. So a subcommittee of that advisory council reviews proposals each year and continues to refine that grant making process year after year. For the 2021 budget year, $135,000 was awarded to 6 grantees. How we get the word out to community organizations is via RFP. Typically that goes out in the summer each year. The last couple of years that's been pushed back a bit due to our department's focus on COVID response. So we actually just brought forward recommendations for 2022 funding at our November Public Health and Human Services Board meeting. We host a virtual community info session. We send notice out to former grantees and then do a full media release as well. And then work to be really transparent with questions that we get from potential grantees in posting information online, including frequently asked questions from interested parties. As you heard Valerie speak to, we do align our RFP with our 5-year community health assessment and improvement plan. We ask that applicants address equitable access to programs and services, and that they align that request with at least one of the priority health assessments. So for our current cycle, those are access to specialty medical services, behavioral health, which includes mental health and substance use disorder, safe and stable housing, services for elders, services for families with young children, and substance abuse. So pretty broad categories there. And Valerie, you were correct. We do start our next 5-year cycle in 2022. A bit on process. So each reviewer, each member of our PHHS subcommittee will review the grant application along with a score sheet. We discuss the applications, and then each member submits their scorecard. The role of PHHS staff in this process is to compile the scores and provide administrative support to the subcommittee who reviews and ultimately makes those recommendations. And then we present those recommendations to the PHHS board, which includes our 5 elected commissioners of the county board, and then the chair each of our 2 citizen advisory councils, both the PHHS Advisory Council and our local mental health advisory council. This is the evaluation tool that we use. So you can see some of the criteria that we're looking for is how it promotes community health and equitable access, how well agencies are working with other organizations, are they actively seeking out funding from other sources, and how they're working to address unmet needs in the community. Some of the grantees for the 2022 budget year include Birch Grove Community School, Care Partners of Cook County Restorative Justice, Cook County Higher Ed, Cook County Community Education, Cooperation Station, the Hub, and the Violence Prevention Center. Looking ahead, something we saw for our 2022 budget year was much greater need among community organizations. The requests that we received exceeded the amount that we had budgeted to grant out by about $90,000 this year, and that was the biggest discrepancy we've seen since we took over this process in 2018. So typically these are taxpayer levy dollars that we have granted out to support these grants, and have just increased that incrementally year after year, around 2 or 3%. So our subcommittee, along with the funding recommendations for 2022, has some additional recommendations around moving that grant making process up earlier in the year, so that the subcommittee can more accurately advocate for what the needs are in the community via those requests that come in from our partner organizations, and so that we can more accurately advocate for funds to support that need. As I said earlier, really working to continually improve our process year after year as more people are involved. And we're able to spend more time really looking at those requests and providing recommendations to the board. There is my email address if you have any questions for me. Otherwise, I'll stop my share so I can see you all again. And thanks for letting me share more about the Public Health Fund in the PHHS department.
Thanks, Allison.
Okay,
All right,
should I just jump in here?
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
Well, good
take her
afternoon.
away.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to Cook County Community Fund and to Cook County Higher Ed, great organizations. And I'm so glad that you set this up so that we could have a chance to talk. And I'm really glad that we're last, because I got a chance to listen to all these great colleagues and talk about their work and learn. So thank you for that. And so nice to see so many familiar faces that I haven't seen for a while. So good to see you and new faces as well. So I'm Joan Gardner-Goodnow. I am the Executive Director of the Lloyd K. Johnson Foundation. I've been the Executive Director for 15 years, and which I can't even believe how fast that's gone by. Before that, I was with the Community Foundation, and before that, I was the Director of Children, Youth, and Families for Lutheran Social Services for a number of years. So I, in that process or in that role, wrote 1 million grants, it seems. And so I totally understand people's angst about writing grants, and always feel very comfortable talking to people about, the challenges that they have with funding, because I certainly get that. I would really like to introduce to you Bryce Nixon. I'm going to have her pop in here just to say a few words about her. She was recently hired from as a grant specialist for the foundation, and I am so pleased to have her. So I just want to introduce her, have her introduce herself, and then we'll jump into some things with the foundation.
Hi, I'm Bryce Nixon. I've been with the foundation now for a couple of months. I come from a long career in development and nonprofit administration. So I've written the other 2 million grants that Joan hasn't written. So I also appreciate that side of the coin, and have enjoyed listening to all of the other folks from the other grantors, and look forward to getting to know the rest of you. And I'm just another resource at the Lloyd K. Johnson Foundation that you should feel free to reach out to. So nice to meet you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, feel free to reach out to myself or Bryce at any time with some questions on grants. So I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit, and I'll highlight things because I know we want to do questions and all that. So I think many of you know that Mr. Johnson, who started the foundation, was born and raised in Cook County. It is, for him, it was a lifelong love of the area, and Cook County will always be an important priority area for this foundation. It is just how he would want it to be. The foundation was established in 1975, and it was very, very small until he passed away in 2006. And so we serve Cook County, Lake County, and Southern St. Louis County. We have 5 areas of interest. Those are arts, the environment, community economic development, education, and social welfare. And the board has kind of prioritized education and community economic development. But of course, we take grants in all those areas. So we are very broad. In addition to those area of interest, we do a full scholarship for graduating seniors at Cook County High School. And that is a full scholarship to either Lake Superior College or Fond du Lac Community College. In addition to the full scholarship, it is books and supplies and some supplies and fees that are covered, and that can go up to 2 years. And then we also do, as Kelsey mentioned, a scholarship with Cook County Higher Ed, and they've just been wonderful partners in that. We're so grateful for their work. So we generally award a little over $1 million a year in grants and scholarships in our service area. Our grant deadlines, we have 4 grant rounds a year, and they are January 15th, April 15th, July 15th, and October 15th. And then we also do a short form application, which is $3,500, and that can be submitted at any time. So whenever you have a smaller project that you're interested in funding for, that's something we can talk about. And those decisions on those smaller grants are usually made within 10 days. So it's a very quick turnaround. We do have you do a letter of intent through our portal. And with that, I would just say for sure to talk to us ahead of time before you submit the letter of intent. We want to, of course, make sure that you guys are using your time as wisely as possible and not doing things that we wouldn't fund, for instance, or maybe it's something that we can talk through as far as the amount of funding. Maybe I would actually say you're asking for too little and ask for more. That happens sometimes. So, have a conversation with myself or Bryce before you submit the letter of intent. I would also say that we have had some changes recently with the foundation that we're pretty excited about. For many years, it was just myself at the foundation and then a part-time person. And now we have wonderful folks like Bryce and Paku, who is our administrative specialist. She has just started recently. And then our scholarship person, Rachel, has taken on a new position, which is a community engagement position. She will still continue doing the scholarships, of course, but one of the things that I've been kind of mindful of over the years is how do we create a two-way street so that we're not just taking applications in, but we're looking at what are emerging needs in a community, how can we be helpful, how can we encourage projects that the board can learn more and more about and want to be involved with. So that is a new position that we're just rolling out now, and I'm really excited about the options that we have of working directly with stakeholders to, better understand issues and learn from the community. And we did also expand our board, which is, we had a 7-member board for a long time. It's now a 9-member board. It is very important to have, for us to have representation from the communities we serve. We have 4 board members from Cook County, 1 from Lake, and the rest are from Southern St. Louis County, because we really want people that understand the community giving voice at the board. And you would also expect from us that if we encourage a letter of intent, we will do a site visit and we will have a board member with on the site visit. I feel so strongly about that because I want them to understand your work up close, personal, and I want you to see that we really care about understanding what you're doing, and we feel strongly about partnership. So last thing I just want to mention is we do, we have a wide variety of interests, and we also do a wide variety of programs and our grants. So that could be program and project support, that can be capital support, that can be startup grants or matching grants or general operating. So, just again, talk to us first before doing the letter of intent. And we always want to hear from you so that we can help be a guide. So that's what I will have to say, because I know we have questions and things like that. So thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joan, and everyone. You know, your commitment to Cook County and the region even is just impressive and has made a big impact already. And I know those people attending today look forward to continue or make new impacts. So we're excited to continue this conversation to see how we can move forward. We did get a question in the chat, and maybe that will come up for some others as well. But just so you know, I will be sending out a follow-up email to everybody as like probably Friday or Monday with resources that were shared during this event and contact information. So just in case you were scribbling down the notes and you missed something, please don't be frantic. That will be coming out to you. We also had a question here regarding funding specifically towards like ADA accessibility and potentially, I believe it was for an elevator. If anybody in the group might say that this is something that they would be able to fund, I think that person would like to talk to you in the breakout groups. So if anybody has any idea about that, it'd be great to kind of raise your hand. Well, while we wait, I encourage you to think of any questions you might have. This is a great time to unmute, share your questions, or know that we can go into breakout room shortly.
Joan, did you have a response to that elevator question?
I will just say that we have been part of funding elevators in the past. They are extremely expensive, as most folks know that have done that kind of work. So we're obviously not in a position generally where we would be able to fund a whole project like that, but we would certainly be interested in talking with people further about being part of a project.
Thank you, John. Oh, go ahead, Judy.
I would just like to make sure that I get into the right breakout rooms. So I am wondering which of these foundations I should be going into their breakout room and doing further contact, addressing food insecurity, nutritional health, the well-being of children within the programs that I work with and write grants for with Great Expectations schools and their Great Lunch organic school meal program, and also their farm to school program, which partners with them.
I suppose the easiest way to do that is just raise your hand if you think she might be able to talk with you, and she will pick you out at the end. Great, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Carol. Oh, raising your hand, thank you.
Yeah, I was raising my hand. I was a little late to that for Judy.
Perfect. Any other group questions? I know when we meet sometimes there's some questions about, you know, maybe you're new to grant writing or this is something you've done practice many times. For those that are new, I know sometimes the grant writing process can be sort of daunting. I encourage you to reach out to any of these organizations to talk through the process, but also Minnesota Council of Nonprofits, as well as Cook County Higher Ed, often offers grant writing sessions. So I encourage you to consider those. And those that are more advanced, you know, sometimes it's more about refinement. And if there's also Minnesota Council of Nonprofits and also Cook County Higher Ed workshops on that at times. Any follow-up questions? Otherwise, I'm going to do breakout rooms for everybody.